thought that was our best first day. Like I said, I don't like to sing as many praises as I like to do, say more negative, especially when our guys are getting a lot of praise. But today's a good day. And the one thing I'm not going to do is be fake just to say it. Today's good.
Merry Christmas and welcome into the PHNX Sun Devils show. Of course, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Make sure you join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. I am Anthony Totri, joined as always by nobody. Eric Ruby and Shane Diefenbach are still out of town. They've abandoned me, but it's okay. We've got intern Seth and the freckled Mamba behind the Mac making all of the magic happen. That's right. I said Merry Christmas on July 30th because Arizona State fall camp is here. Ladies and gentlemen, college football is so back, and so are the Sun Devils. That's what we're talking about today, but it's not just me. We've got sound from QB1 Sam Leavitt. We've got sound from, America's darling, Kenny Dillingham, as well. So make sure you hit that like button, you hit the subscribe button, and you drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. We got Short Bus finally back in the chat. Love to see it. David Buck, John Pickens as well. If you have any questions, thoughts, anything at all as it relates to Arizona State's first day of fall camp, throw it in there. We'll see if I can answer the question or if we can get to that topic at some point throughout today's show. But the meat and potatoes of Arizona State's first fall camp practice was the guy that you see on the thumbnail. It's Jordyn Tyson. Jordyn Tyson today was absolutely unguardable. And again, everybody's in just helmets and shorts and, some of them were wearing joggers out there, but it did not matter. Jordyn Tyson was truly special out there. There's a reason why this guy is widely viewed as a top 3 wide receiver in college football, potentially the first wide receiver off the board in the 2026 NFL draft, and certainly the best wide receiver in the Big 12. Look, it's kind of weird to come out here on the first day of fall camp and for there to be a recap and say that the offense was special or that the offense was dominant, right? And I don't want to say that the offense was necessarily dominant, but normally when you get to fall camp or even spring ball, usually the defense is winning a lot of those reps, especially throughout that first practice and throughout that first week. That wasn't necessarily the case during Arizona State's first fall camp practice. The first team, the second team, and the third team offense, especially when these guys went inside to the bubble, did 7-on-7s, the offense was lighting up the defense, carving them up. It did not matter who was playing quarterback. It did not matter who was playing wide receiver. All of these guys were on. And that is not necessarily a knock on the defense. That is just going to show you how special this Arizona State offense is. And I know there's going to be folks that are saying, oh, well, the second team or the third team, how were they carving up the defense? The defense was in pretty good position a lot of the time, but these wide receivers and tight ends were making play after play after play, including the one that we're going to show you right now. Jordyn Tyson with a corner who is going to have a really good year in Keith Abney here. We'll play this one more time for you guys to truly see what Jordyn Tyson was doing. It was unbelievable. Now, this is just a one-on-one play. Again, Abney's in great position. Jordyn Tyson's just Jordyn Tyson. And that wasn't even Tyson's best catch of the day. We can't film 7-on-7s. We can't film 11-on-11 stuff, right, for competitive reasons. There was a point during 7-on-7s that Jordyn Tyson in the bubble had a back shoulder, one-handed catch across his body, came down with it, and it just, again, goes to show you that this guy is going to be special. I don't care who this Arizona State defense faces in 2025. There is not a single corner that I feel can truly stop Jordyn Tyson in one-on-one coverage, and I'm saying this after just the first day, right? Sam Leavitt, he looks as dialed in as we've ever seen. There's a reason that Kenny Dillingham off the top, for those of you that missed the cold open, said that this was a great first day, right? We know Kenny. We've covered Kenny Dillingham the last several seasons. This is his third fall camp at Arizona State. ASU fans know at this point that Kenny keeps it a buck at all times. If he thinks that this team practiced poorly, they didn't give energy, they didn't give passion, somebody screwed up, then he's going to say in his post-game presser, or his post-practice presser, that things need to change, that this was a soft practice. That wasn't the case today, in all honesty. And I feel that from a media perspective, that this first practice looked like the best first practice that Arizona State has had under Kenny Dillingham. And I'm not saying that just as a fall camp thing. I'm saying that as a spring football thing as well. The difference in the tempo, the energy, the precision today was just different. This was a hungry group that looks like they've officially put the whole narrative of, 2024 was great. How do we repeat? They put it behind us. They are 100% on a mission in 2025, and it's not building off of what they did in 2024. It's starting something completely new. Carson in the chat saying, what was the split for running backs with the first team during offense and defensive sessions? Now, Kyson Brown, especially in team tempo, he was the guy getting the bulk of the carries with the first team. Kanye Udo was getting the carries with the second team. Jason Brown Jr. was getting the carries with the third team. Now, that was in team tempo. When you move over to 7-on-7, it was, again, Kyson Brown running with the first team. The first team, right? This is the first day of fall camp. Kanye Udo was going with the second team. Raleek Brown, he was kind of rotating in with the first and second team, while the third team was, again, Jason Brown Jr. So you're not going to learn, I don't think, too much from the first week. I think when we move on to probably week 2 and week 3, and these guys have really established themselves of hey, this is what the rotation is going to look like, then I think you'll get a better idea as to who is going to be the day one starter. But if we were going strictly off what we saw today, it would appear that Kyson Brown would be RB1, Kanye Udo would be RB2, and Raleek Brown would be the guy that is rotating in depending on formations, depending on down and distances and circumstances, and all that stuff. But all three of those running backs that I mentioned really, really did perform well today. I was really not surprised, but I was just more so impressed with what I saw specifically from Kyson Brown in the passing game. Somebody that I don't think gets enough love and credit for being a dual threat running back, right? Somebody that can go beyond just taking it up the gut and giving you 5 to 6 yards. He is somebody that is a threat out of the backfield, and I know ASU fans and media want to say, hey, it's Raleek Brown is probably the guy that's going to get the bulk of the receptions out of the backfield. Kyson Brown can certainly do that as well. We saw Man out there again today. We got our first look at Grayson Rigdon, who was somebody that I had said on yesterday's show was going to be somebody that you wanted to watch if you're an ASU fan. I think he's still got a little bit of a ways to go. Again, this was his first practice, but he's a little bit bigger than I thought he was going to be. I believe he is listed at about 5'11", potentially even 6 foot, just under 200 pounds. This is somebody that you can see. You can see the vision behind a guy like Grayson Rigdon. And the same goes for Man as well. So excited to see how these guys develop and grow as spring football really rolls around. That should be a lot of fun. Short Bus in the chat saying AJ Ia looks really big for a freshman from that video you posted. Yeah, AJ Ia, man. Like I joked with CJ Fight about this, I think in the spring or last fall, maybe even, man, time goes crazy fast, where I was like, do you ever stop growing? Like, as a joke, right? He's like, I hope not. The same thing with AJ Ia, 6'6", 255 pounds to start his very first fall camp practice as a collegiate athlete. Again, a true freshman tight end for the Sun Devils. We saw him in specific formations, specific sets. You will see AJ Ia if you are an Arizona State fan. This is not somebody that is coming to Arizona State as a true freshman that we're just hyping up, that the team is just hyping up, that, oh, like you'll see him in a couple years and maybe you'll see him if ASU's up 40. Now, I've got a good feeling just based off of what we've seen and what we've heard from some of these coaches that AJ Ia will play a big role in Arizona State's offense in 2025. Now, getting to the rest of the Arizona State wide receivers, it felt like everybody, going back to what I said earlier, had a really, really good day. Some of those position battles, right? You focus in outside of the running back, specifically at that wide receiver 3 spot, which is something that we had discussed on yesterday's show. Is it going to be Jaron Hamilton? Is it going to be Malik McClain? In team tempo, again, Malik McClain was the starting wide receiver out there alongside Jalen Moss in the slot. And then, of course, you have Jordyn Tyson on the opposite end. So that's what it looked like from the starting wide receiver spot. This is not new. This is not a surprise. This is kind of what we saw to start spring football for Arizona State. While Jaron Hamilton did have his moments where he improved, I think it is still at this point Malik McClain's job to lose. But you are still going to see, I think, a healthy rotation of these guys. If somebody is not necessarily the day one starter, like we're talking Malik McClain, that does not mean that you will not see them in 2025, right? Kind of the same point that we made about the running backs. Is it going to be Kyson? Is it going to be Kanye? Is it going to be Raleek? Well, you're going to see all three of those guys. The same goes for the Arizona State wide receivers. There is going to be a healthy mix of these wide receivers. Two things we know for sure. Jalen Moss is in the slot. Jordyn Tyson is on one side. You'll see a healthy mix of Malik McClain and Jaron Hamilton. Getting to those 7-on-7s that we saw inside the bubble today, Jaron Hamilton had 2 catches that were they were big time. They were big time catches. I was saying to Seth earlier, Jeff Sims was just balling today. Like, this quarterback room, like, there is no need for a quarterback competition. Sam Leavitt's your guy. But in any scenario, if this team has to roll with Jeff Sims for a drive, for a third quarter, fourth quarter, because Arizona State is up so much, then like this team is still going to be moving, because Jeff Sims was just throwing dimes, especially inside the bubble. Jaron Hamilton was making moves. There was a question on social media asking me who was playing third-team quarterback. Now, similar to the situation that I just mentioned with the running backs and wide receivers, there was a mix. There was a mix of these guys at third-team quarterback, specifically when I had sent that tweet about the first team and second team and third team really putting on a show. It was actually Cam Dyer, the freshman quarterback, or I guess freshman athlete is what he was recruited as, was the third-team quarterback that was throwing touchdowns and really making the offense go. I believe he had one to AJ Ia at a certain point. So that could certainly be a fun future connection between Cam Dyer and AJ Ia. Again, getting to some of the questions in the chat. If you're somebody that listens on audio, would highly recommend that you come over on some of these live shows. That way, if you do have questions, we can get to them. Zach asking, how did the young wide receivers look? Derek Eusebio, Corey Butler, Harry Hassman. I mean, Kenny gave some love to all these guys in his post-practice sound that we'll get to here in just a little bit. But Derek Eusebio, I remember there's one specific rep that he was lined up in the slot in one-on-ones against Xavier Alford. We know the type of prowess that Xavier Alford has. Derek Eusebio, man, comes up with a big catch. He's just so shifty off the line of scrimmage. Like, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he knows how to use his wheels really, really well and get a really good release. So that's, for me, something that I think continues to impress me about Derek Eusebio, especially as a young wide receiver. Corey Butler Jr. is fast as hell. I feel like I say that to about everybody, especially in this wide receiver room. But Corey Butler is a sneaky, not even sneaky fast. He's just fast as hell, man. I'm really interested to see if they use him this year, or if he's if he is a red shirt. The same goes with Hassman. Hassman had a really nice day as well, actually getting some love again in that sound from Kenny Dillingham that we're going to get to here in just a second. Now, there was of course, the whole all eyes on Jordyn Tyson, right? Like I said off the rip, that was the thing that stood out to me today, was just Jordyn Tyson is in midseason form right now. That connection between him and Sam Leavitt is even better than it was at a certain point last year. These two guys are close. They're connected, and you see that on the field, even when they're trying to move from one team period to the next team period. There are moments, and I remember specifically today, where there was an offensive drill where the wide receivers they're running routes and combinations, and Sam and the rest of the quarterbacks are obviously throwing them the ball, right? When you're out there, the team, they have their periods, they got a clock, they're on a set schedule. Once that horn blows, once that clock goes, you got to move over to the next drill, right? And even after that, Sam told Marcus, okay, one more rep. And it was to Jordyn Tyson, right? Just getting that extra rep in, even though from like a fan perspective or from a media perspective, you'd be like, okay, these two already have a great connection, right? Like, what's one more rep? But that's kind of the way that these two are wired. Even after practice, I'm walking out of the bubble. Who's the duo chatting, right? It's Sam Leavitt, Jordyn Tyson getting ready to leave the bubble as well, with Ben Coleman in there, Hines Ward, and these guys are just chatting, right? Chatting about what they saw during practice, what could change, the things that they won at today. Like, that's seriously the relationship that Sam Leavitt and Jordyn Tyson have. I have not seen an Arizona State quarterback and wide receiver function the way that these two do. And it's something that Kenny Dillingham has seen as well, right? Kenny was asked point blank period about the wide receivers today. And I think everybody wanted a little bit of a answer or a comment on Jordyn Tyson. And don't worry, he gives you a comment about Jordyn Tyson here, but it's more so just some love for the Arizona State wide receivers.
You know, Malik had a really good play on the back shoulder. Harry had a few good plays. Jaron had a few good plays. I mean, that's a pretty good day for those guys. They won one-on-one matchups. I'm not going to sit here and talk about Jordyn Tyson every day. It's just, he had great plays. You can just take that clip, copy and paste it for most days. I will definitely talk about him on a day that he gets beat to continue to challenge him. You know, that's my job as a coach, is to not tell him how good he is, but to challenge him on things to get better at and to continue to push him.
Look, I don't have any rule against not telling you guys how damn good Jordyn Tyson was. He was special. He was special today. I expect him to continue to make some highlight reel catches throughout fall camp, especially when we get to the actual 2025 season. That's what Kenny had to say about the wideouts. But what about QB1 Sam Leavitt? You guys are going to hear from Sam Leavitt. We're going to get into some more of those observations from fall camp on the other side of this first break. Look, I told you about it a couple weeks ago that you had a big UFC card on, and I was going to indulge in some pure edibles. I did. It enhanced the fights for sure. But of course, you guys have college football coming back. The NFL is right around the corner. Heck, the NBA season, shout out to Ayrton, it's going to be here before you know it. All those sporting events, man, if you're sitting at home watching them on TV, make sure you grab yourself some pure edibles, because that experience is going to go from a 4 or 5 to an absolute 14. Pure edibles, my favorite favorite part about them is that they don't taste like weed, okay? But they taste like candy instead. I've never had an edible that tasted like candy until Pure Edibles. Plus, they're not covered in sugar like all of their competitors. Look, they're designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them super easy to share or easy to dial in your exact dose. Make sure you go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Of course, we just hit day 1 of fall camp. I can assure you guys, by the end of this season, I'm going to be exhausted, and you're going to be exhausted. We're all going to need a staycation over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. They have something for everybody. Literally, if you go to Gila River Resorts and Casinos and you're staying there for an evening, you're staying there for a weekend, you want to get yourself a steak dinner, well, you can do that. You want to hang out by the pool, well, you can do that. You want to go watch some sporting events and bet on the games, you could do that at their sports book. You want to win some money on the gaming floor, you could do that with the table games or the slot machines that they have. It is an all-around phenomenal experience. My personal favorite location is, of course, Wild Horse Pass, but all of those Gila River resorts and locations, they hit on the right day. Make sure you do you at Gila River Resorts Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Again, if you're just now joining us, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and if you're listening on audio, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. A couple more questions in the chat before we get to what Sam Leavitt had to say about those Arizona State wideouts. Short Bus asking specifically about Cam Dyer hurting his knee. Yeah, Cam Dyer did, in fact, hurt his knee. I want to say in the state championship game, his final high school football game, I believe, and he did not really play spring football. Like, he had his jersey on, but he wasn't doing anything, right? Still recovering from that. He was out there today. He was throwing the football. And of course, all the quarterbacks you're not going to touch them. They're no contact guys. So he didn't have to worry about that. Didn't really see him move a ton, like in terms of like mobility. He didn't necessarily need to be doing that. But he was out there. He was dotting up the defense, and he looked good. He's somebody that I believe next year will be in the thick of a quarterback competition if Sam Leavitt does indeed opt to go to the NFL draft. So Cam Dyer is certainly competing for that third quarterback spot with, of course, Butter and some of the other guys on this roster. Coach Stark Holmes saying, I can't wait to see what this tight end room can produce. I see at least 3 tight ends making a difference. What if I said there were 4 tight ends that would make a difference? Now, all spring and all summer, we've been telling you that, hey, Shimon Mateer, tight end 1, Kamari Anderson, tight end 2, AJ Ia, tight end 3. Cameron Harpool looks, and I said this out there today, the Cameron Harpool out there today, who is now number 9 instead of, I believe, 24, he looks like he ate the Cameron Harpool from last year. He is absolutely massive out there, and this is somebody that is widely considered a blocking first tight end, somebody that you're in 12 personnel, it's 3rd and 1, we need a yard. Cameron Harpool is next to that right tackle, and we're running right off his tail. Right? Cameron Harpool is absolutely massive. I think there's a real shot that you've got 4 tight ends that could contribute. Now, of course, that is certainly going to dilute their numbers. You're not going to have a tight end, I don't think, this year that puts together a 60-catch, 700-yard, 10-touchdown season. I just don't see that. Not because I don't think that, any of these guys are talented enough to do that. But I think just because this room has so many guys in it that all, again, similar to the running backs, bring different things, ASU's going to utilize them, right? We saw Cameron Harpool last year, despite Shimon Mateer being a second-team all-conference type of tight end. You are going to see Kamari this year. He's probably the fastest tight end of those 4. And then AJ Ia does a little bit of everything. Again, at 6'6", 255 pounds, you are going to see him a lot in 2025. All of these tight ends are going to make a massive impact on this offense. And I think that's part of the reason that when we talk about, like, hey, this offense is going to be special, right? Which, again, we've done it all summer long. You're probably sick and tired of hearing us talk about the tight ends, right? Or just the offense in general of like, oh my gosh, they're going to be so amazing. They're going to do this. And then we go out there today. And again, normally it's fall camp, spring ball, first week. It's defense dominates because the offense needs time, right? The chemistry, the synergy, the timing of it all takes a while to actually come to fruition, especially when you have some new faces, which this team does, right? Ben Coleman from left guard to center. You have a new left guard. Jamedo Abigbo was starting at left guard today. He was on Texas State last year, right? Jalen Moss was at Fresno State last year. Jaron Hamilton was at Bama. Malik McLean was a redshirt. So you had Cam Scattaboo in the backfield last year. You don't have him in the backfield anymore, right? So it would make sense that you show up to the first day of fall camp and, hey, maybe it's a little rusty. Maybe it's a little slow. Again, that wasn't it today. And I want to emphasize that this is no longer what it was in the summer, right? Of me sitting up here telling you, hey, this is going to happen. They are going to be good. They are going to be a really badass offense. That's not the case anymore. I'm watching it. I'm telling you. First team, second team, third team, carving up this defense, putting on an absolute show. Did not matter who was at quarterback. Did not matter who was at wide receiver. And the reason why is because you have your QB1 back, but you also have a plethora of talent around, right? This wide receiver room, regardless of what you may think, is 2, 3, 4 times better than it was last year. It's also deeper, right? Because the Derek Eusebios, the Zechariah Samples that were here last year that didn't play, well, they're back, they're improved, and they know the system, right? So you've got a Zechariah Sample, a Derek Eusebio, heck, even a guy like Jaron Hamilton, who is now here in the spring and is coming back a little bit more familiar with the system. They're going up against DBs that are either new in this system, that are just like straight freshmen. And guess what? This offense, they've seen it, right? Especially those younger guys that I mentioned. So when you do eventually get to that first team offense going up against the defense, well, yeah, Jordyn Tyson is going to cook everybody, not just Arizona State's defense, but everybody, okay? Because this is now his second year in the system, third year at Arizona State, and he spends, it feels like every second of the day with the quarterback that's throwing him the football, and Sam Leavitt. Like Shorpa says, iron sharpens iron, and you see it on day one. This defense is going to have to really raise its standard, and mind you, this is a good defense. I don't want it to sound like I'm absolutely poo-pooing on the defense, because the Arizona State defense, like we've said all summer, again, is returning 10 of 11 starters. Montana Warren, by the way, working as the starting nickel corner today in team tempo. Things could change as we get through fall camp. We've seen it before. But for those asking and wondering, Montana Warren was the guy at that nickel corner spot instead of Kendrick Breedlove, the Purdue transfer. Everything else was pretty standard for the Arizona State defense. You had Kangaika, Fike, Clayton Smith, Prince Dorba on the defensive line. Your linebackers, Jordan Crook, Keyshawn Elliott was there. You had Zyrus rotating in. So everything looks pretty standard on that front in terms of the defense. It's going to be a solid unit. We got our first look at Joshua Shanklin today, the number 1 JUCO edge transfer. He was out there. So it's going to be a really, really fun year. But again, getting back to the defense, or getting back to the offense, excuse me, before we get to B's question, like, this is a group on offense, and I say group just to kind of like put them all in here, right? Offense, like quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, offensive line, whatever. That is just point blank, period. It is the best Arizona State has looked, from my perspective, at a practice. And that is because they're just deeper, right? The offensive line, more transfers. The running back room, 3 guys that we're talking about getting carries this year. The wide receivers coming from prominent schools, right? Hamilton was a commit to Bama. He was on Alabama last year. Malik McClain is 2 years ago. He was at Penn State. Those are 2 teams that are always in the thick of the college football playoff, always in the thick of their respective conferences, regardless of whether those 2 played significant minutes, right? So not to mention, you've got Jordyn Tyson. You have Jalen Moss, who played a ton at Fresno State. You have all the weapons and the pieces to a puzzle of what's going to be a really, really good offense. But the center of that puzzle is going to be your quarterback, Sam Leavitt. So what did QB1 think of those Arizona State wide receivers today? Well, this is what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, we're making a bunch of plays today. 0, 12, 18, 16. And then our tight ends were making plays, threw Shimon on a corner ball. So we just got guys all over, and it's just bringing them along with us. And everybody's able to make plays now, so it's pretty fun to, be able to put the ball up there and see it come down.
QB1's got a big-ass smile on his face, huh? When you get your number 1 wide receiver back, when you get a shiny new toy who runs 21 miles an hour from Alabama, when you get a 6'5", 6'6" maybe JUCO wide receiver and Akeem Lineu, when you have your starting tight end come back, when you've got just this absolute like giant of a freshman at 6'6" coming in and AJ Ia, yeah. Sam Leavitt likes what he sees on day one from your Arizona State pass catchers, and there is absolutely no surprise there. Absolutely no surprise. Getting back to some of the questions that we have in the chat. B's asking, so Javen isn't starting. Javen Robinson is starting. He is CB2. on the perimeter. You have Keith Abney on one side, you've got Javen Robinson on the other, and then that nickel corner spot where Shamari was playing these currently is being manned by Montana Warren. As it stands right now, again, July 30th, still about a month till you actually have a game to worry about and who's starting where. But it looks like that's your trio of corners as it stands right now. Again, the first day of fall camp. Things could change tomorrow. Things could change a week from now. Things could change on game day, but that's as it stands right now. It's Short Bus asking about Jaden Fortier. Jaden Fortier is out there still practicing with the tight ends. Looks healthy for the most part. I think, again, when we talk about Jaden Fortier, I think somebody, ironically enough, to kind of compare his situation to as it stands right now is Jason Brown Jr., right? Those two are part of the same recruiting class at Arizona State. When you look at the running back room, well, why aren't people talking about Jason Brown Jr.? It's kind of because the bodies that you have already in there. Mind you, Jason Brown Jr. is still a relatively young player with a lot of eligibility left, right? So we're not necessarily talking about Jason Brown Jr. because we're talking about Kyson Brown, who's a junior. We're talking about Kanye Udo, who is technically an upperclassman. We're talking about a guy in Raleek Brown, who is an upperclassman at this point, right? So those are the guys getting the bulk of the discussion and the actual first, second, and third team reps. And then when you look at that tight end room, it's kind of the same thing with Jaden Fortier, right? Shaman was the starting tight end last year. It makes sense that he's running with the ones and doing what he's doing. Kamari Anderson is an upperclassman who played football in the SEC last year. He's a lot bigger, right? Just sheer size-wise, he's a lot bigger than Jaden Fortier. And then AJ Ia as well. What, right? There are people probably asking, well, why is AJ getting more reps than Fortier is? AJ Ia is he's like in a grown man's body, right? Like, I don't know how much, like, I can't really emphasize that to you guys. Like, if you haven't seen what AJ Ia looks like, I posted a video on Twitter earlier today of him blocking Kamari Anderson in tight end drills. He is a absolute giant, and I can't, like, there aren't other words to describe what. Just imagine you when you were 18 years old and you were going to college for the first time. For me, I was a scrawny little twig, didn't know what I was doing getting to college, right? Like literally like 5'8", $125. That was me freshman year of college. This kid's 18 and he is 6'6", 255 pounds. He's playing small forward in the league, right? Like, that's the size of this kid, and he looks every bit of that. Normally, you can look at some of these players, you can be like, you're about 2 inches shorter than you're listed, and maybe about 10, 15 pounds lighter, right? That's not the case. AJ EL, like, they may be shorting him, honestly, when it comes to his height and weight. Like, that's what he looks like out there. BC says he was 6'4", 200 pounds as a freshman. Well, AJ is 2 inches taller and 55 pounds heavier than you were as a freshman. So take that into consideration for a little bit of perspective there. Fortier will eventually get his run, I believe, at Arizona State. I just think because of, again, the situation he's in where there's so many guys in that room, it's going to be tough for Jaden Fortier to see the field this year. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but there are a lot of guys in that room that are just doing it, and they've done it. Right? I think something that would really benefit Jaden Fortier, and I'm sure it's something he's working on, is if you put all of these guys next to one another, like I said about Cameron Harpool earlier, right? Cameron Harpool looks big, right? All of these tight ends are 250, 260 pounds. Jaden Fortier is certainly the thinnest of those tight ends. I want to say he's listed at 215, 220. Maybe Seth can double check for me on that one. I would say that he's about that size, 6'4", maybe 215, 220 pounds. So he is not necessarily there yet in terms of like, okay, you meet the requirement of a 250, 260 pound tight end.
He is 6'3", 220 on ESPN.
6'3", 220 by ESPN. We know ESPN standards. I would say he's probably closer to 6'4", 215. So that's, again, just my eye test out there. But Jaden Fortier is still working his ass off in that room. So don't worry. Jaden Fortier will get his time. The golden goose will come. But it's going to take just a little bit of time before he actually gets there. Getting to some of the other position battles that we had discussed on yesterday's show, that we've discussed throughout the summer, that I just want to bring everybody kind of up to speed on before we actually get to the next break and get to maybe the most interesting soundbite that we've got from that first practice. Is your starting right tackle, at least today, was Max Ahanachor. Why is that interesting? Why is that newsworthy? Well, that's because Jalen Clem was starting at right tackle during the entirety of spring football. Jalen Clem, the former Washington offensive lineman who missed all of last year for medical reasons, came back, was your starting right tackle during the spring. The reason that was the case is because Max Ahanachor, who was the starting right tackle for Arizona State all of 2024, well, he was injured. He didn't play or practice at all in the spring, but he's back, he's healthy, and it looks like it's Ahanachor's spot to lose at this point. So I would be pretty surprised if we saw Ahanachor get moved around the offensive line, if he ultimately wasn't the starting right tackle. Mind you, Jalen Clem has several years, at least a season or two after this of eligibility that he could ultimately return. And I don't want to make a declaration, I guess, at this point, but it does appear that Max Ahanachor is your starting right tackle, at least as it stands right now. From left to right along that starting offensive line, left tackle, Josh Atkins, he was your starting left tackle in 2024, did a really good job. Your starting left guard, like I mentioned earlier, is Jametta Abigbo, who was a guard at Texas State last season. He transferred in. He is currently manning that left guard spot. Ben Coleman is your center. Kyle Scott is your right guard. And Max Ahanachor is your right tackle. That is what the offensive line currently looks like for Arizona State. Now, in terms of some of the safety depth, if there is one guy that I was really surprised at, and maybe just because I personally haven't done my due diligence in talking about him, that we saw a lot today, we saw a lot from Boogie Wilson, the Washington State transfer at safety. I would expect behind Xavier Alford and behind Miles Rouser, you are most likely going to see Boogie Wilson and Chris Johnson Jr. Chris Johnson Jr., again, a part of the recruiting class, I want to say from 2 years ago, that was moved from a traditional corner to safety. Looks the part. Looks like that's going to be the safety duo behind Rouser and Xavier Alford, with Boogie Wilson backing up Miles Rouser, and then Chris Johnson Jr. Expected to back up Xavier Alford there. So something to just keep in mind as fall camp continues to move. These are the types of things that we're going to be discussing on the PHNX Sun Devil show every single day at 1 o'clock. So make sure you guys are here if you are interested in Arizona State, the updates, fall camp, and all that stuff. Let's see. B's asking about Clayton Smith doing well out there. Yep. Clayton in, again, just Clayton Smith fashion, doing what he does, leading that edge rushing group with Dorba, Elijah O'Neal. I know you had Donald in the Die Hard Discord earlier asking about his guy Elijah O'Neal. He was out there alongside Justin Watley, Shanklin, all those guys. It's a loaded front seven. There's going to be a lot of heavy competition in that room. So that is really, really exciting to see, especially for an Arizona State defense that does return as many guys as it does. To be able to sit here after the first day of fall camp and say, hey, you've got a lot of guys that, whether they're competing for starting reps or they're just competing as rotational pieces, you genuinely have a ton of guys on that front seven. Zach Swanson, Michael Gardner, who's the Oregon transfer, CJ Fight, Jacob Kangaika, Justin Watley, Anthony Cooper, like the list just goes on and on with the talent that you have on that front seven. Now, we've talked obviously a lot about what we saw on the field today, which we saw Jordyn Tyson be an absolute dog from the start of practice to the end of practice. We saw Sam Leavitt dotting up the defense. We saw the running backs kind of get their fair share of what maybe the split will look like, right? Kyson Brown with the ones, Kanye Udo with the twos, Raleek Brown mixed in kind of both those ways. But all of that wasn't even the most important thing to come out of fall camp. So what was? Well, we'll answer that question on the other side of this quick break. Guys, I'm here to tell you, you got 24 hours. Okay, maybe even less than that, to take advantage of what Mountain America Credit Union is offering. You guys can get 2 times the points on rewards credit card purchases through July 31st. It is July 30th today. Tomorrow is July 31st. Take advantage of it while you can. You can use your Mountain America rewards card and watch the points pile up. It is great for the essentials, right? Gas, groceries, travel, home projects, and all other purchases. This promotion is an easy way to stretch your dollar, which we know is super important in today's economy, since you guys are going to earn twice as many rewards. Like I said, limited time only, so take advantage of it while you can. There are more details at macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply. Now, while you guys are stretching that dollar, maybe you're looking for some home improvements. Well, if you are, especially on the flooring side of things, call our friends over at Empire today, because they're going to hook it up. Just like your favorite team needs a home court or home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage. And Empire today, they can help you get it. Empire today, these aren't just like beginners. These aren't just flooring dudes, okay? These are flooring professionals. They are experts. They are the best in the game when it comes to fixing and putting in the stuff that you guys are gonna walk on in your home, your apartment, all of the things. Okay, with Empire today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you guys can schedule installation as soon as the next day, because nobody likes to wait. Come on, schedule a free at-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHNX. Yes, you heard that right, a $350 discount with code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit empire.today/PHNX for full details. Short Bus saying, was it the kicking? Did Jesus deliver? He's got us. Well, it wasn't Jesus. Jesus wasn't necessarily on the field today, unless you consider Sam Leavitt or Jordyn Tyson or Kenny Dillingham to somehow be the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. I'll let that go up for interpretation. But I would say the biggest takeaway from today has to do with the future of the Arizona State football program. There have long been rumors and speculation that Arizona State is going to try and get a new practice facility. Kenny Dillingham confirming today that Arizona State is in the process of trying to build and fund for a brand spanking new indoor practice facility.
One thing, I don't know if people know this, but we're in the process of trying to build an indoor facility. That's our big project. We want to get it fundraised here in the next 5 months to get a shovel in the ground here in the next 6 months. So it's here in 2 years from today, which is the goal. We want to move it over by the football field. We want to use that indoor facility for tailgating in the future. So we have an indoor tailgating location for fans to come and make it an awesome tailgate experience, like the 16th hole of the Waste Management Open. We want to create the 16th hole of the Waste Management Open, or as close as we can to it, in our indoor facility by our stadium here. And we just got to fundraise enough money to do it. So it's good for us. It'll be good for our football team. It'll be good for the fans. If we can get it done.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine a 16th hole level experience on a college football Saturday for the Arizona State Sun Devils going into what's going to be their 4th or 5th year trying to defend another Big 12 championship? Because that's what I see. You're telling me there's going to be an indoor practice facility for Arizona State. As much as I love the Kajikawa practice fields, it's across the street. You're going to have this one right next to the actual stadium, which is going to be great for players. It's going to be great for coaches. It's going to be great for media, right? And then on game days, you're going to have that be a hub for all things tailgating right next to the stadium. I think that is a brilliant idea. It's a phenomenal idea. Kenny Dillingham took 100% credit for it, which I love. Kenny never takes credit for anything, but he was asked whose idea was it. He said 100% mine, which I absolutely love. It's going to be a lot of fun. Kenny said that they're about a third of the way through the fundraising They want to get about $15 million before they can actually start that process, which, again, you heard it from Kenny. They'd like to get it done in the next several years. So Kenny, he plans to be here. For all of you that seemingly think that Kenny is just going to wander away from Arizona State to take a job at like Oklahoma or something in a few years, this again just kind of shows you Kenny is committed to Arizona State. He wants to be at Arizona State, and he's thinking about the long term. In the long term, to have a facility like this, even making it a part of game days beyond the tailgating. Kenny had mentioned it, which for those of you that have been to an ASU football game before, especially recently, they have the Sun Devil Walk, right, where the players go through and the fans are there. A lot of schools have something similar to that. He mentioned an idea that once this facility would be in, that this would be a great place for like the actual team to walk through that facility before going into the stadium. Again, another cool part of the game day experience for Arizona State fans, which again, doubling down on it, I think that would be really, really cool. So ultimately, I would say the biggest thing that came out of Arizona State's first day of fall camp had nothing to do with on the field. That had everything to do with the indoor practice facility that Kenny Dillingham and Arizona State are currently trying to get funding for, that would ultimately be built in several years. Kenny said they want to get a shovel in the ground as soon as possible. And of course, an indoor practice facility would be great for the players, the coaches, everybody involved. Let me know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of Arizona State potentially building an indoor practice facility and how it would impact the game day experience for fans and tailgating. Again, I tell you all the time, do us a solid. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcast. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns from things you saw at practice, from things you didn't see at practice, or maybe just information that you guys would like from Arizona State's first day of fall camp. Some of those new guys that we talked about on yesterday's show that we didn't see in the spring because they just weren't here. We again got our first look at them. Joshua Shanklin, who I mentioned earlier, the number 1 JUCO edge rusher in the portal before transferring to ASU. He looks the part of a true Division I edge rusher. Still don't necessarily know where he fits into the rotation. Again, a little too early to judge on that first day of fall camp. Akeem Laneu, the JUCO wide receiver who previously was listed at 6'7". I'm here to tell you he's not 6'7". He's about 6'5", 6'6", maybe an inch taller than Malik McClain. He is still very, very tall. Far and away, him and Malik are the tallest wide receivers in this room. Excited to kind of see where the Sun Devils use him. I don't know if they're going to use him strictly as a jump ball kind of wide receiver, or if they have bigger plans for him, or if it's maybe more of a developmental type of thing. I also want to talk a little bit about some of these younger offensive linemen and defensive linemen that we saw, because they are like, I don't know if growing is the right word. Kenny had kind of talked after practice about how like Arizona State they don't recruit your traditional offensive linemen, right? They don't look at like, oh, this guy is 6'5", 290 pounds. We want him exactly how he is. Arizona State over the last several seasons under Kenny Dillingham has either gotten offensive linemen that they feel are too big or that are maybe too small, right? And then they will kind of contort their bodies with the help of Coach Joe, the strength and conditioning coach, to try and get them to where they want to be. So Terrell Kim, a younger offensive lineman for Arizona State. To this point, I believe Kenny Dillingham said that he has lost about 40 pounds since arriving on campus, which again, like I think we do a very good job as society of like glossing over it, right? Like if I tell you somebody lost 40 pounds on the offensive line, you're like, oh, that's great. They're thinning out. Like if I told you that your coworker lost 40 pounds, you'd be like, how the hell did they do that? Right? Like, and this is somebody in college where they have a ridiculous amount of access to literally free food at Arizona State because they're a D1 athlete and they're shedding pounds, right? Champ Westbrooks, he is somebody that I feel like every single practice doesn't get enough love. But he is somebody that I think in years to come at Arizona State could be a fun player to watch along this offensive line. He's committed to being an Arizona State Sun Devil. I believe he's up to about 290 pounds now at 6'5", which again speaks volumes to where he is at. I want to say as a redshirt freshman or as a sophomore offensive lineman. So the future is bright for Arizona State, and I think that is, kind of summing up everything we saw today. And again, we'll be back at it for the second day of practice tomorrow, but just summing up everything from fall camp, at least the observations today, right? Like, and everybody again is going to want to focus on Jordyn Tyson, Sam, and all of that. But to the Arizona State fans that are in this for the long haul, that are committed to being a Sun Devil and seeing what, this success looks like beyond 2025, I'm here to tell you that it's here. Right? Like there was, and I was the one that in my estimation, when Kenny got here, it was like, okay, what is this team going to look like going into year 3? That was the judgment, right? Kenny was never supposed to get judged on what he did in year 2. The reason he got judged and praised for it is because of the success that they had, right? But realistically, when you are judging a head coach, especially in college football, it's the third year. Right? The third year is when you look at production. The third year is when you look at recruiting classes because they've had enough time to go through the recruiting cycles. You look at their transfers. You look at the retention. You look at the success. This team is fresh off a Big 12 championship, fresh off a college football playoff appearance. And the success in 2025 is going to be there. I'm very, very confident that offensively, defensively, and special teams are going to put it together for, at the very least, a 9-win season. At the very least. For all of you that think 8-4 is what this team is going to be, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Go watch a middle of the pack Big Ten team. Go watch an SEC team that plays Alabama State in Week 11, right? Go watch. Those are your 8-4 teams in those conferences. This team is not going to be 8-4. This is not an 8-4 offense. This is not an 8-4 defense. I didn't see that today. I saw a team that is going to compete for a Big 12 championship. They're going to do it, okay? And I know it's the first day of fall camp, and some of you are probably laughing. Say what you want. I see it, right? I see it out there. Covered this team last year. Covered another college football playoff team in Notre Dame several years back. This offense kicks that offense ass. And that offense had Kyron Williams and Michael Mayer, 2 NFL guys. And I'm telling you this right now. Sam is better than Jack Cohn at quarterback. Jordyn Tyson is a better overall player than the 2 guys that I saw at Notre Dame there. It's just the facts. But getting back to what I was saying about the long-term success year 3, the reason I bring up Terrell Kim, the reason that we sit here and we talk about Corey Butler Jr., we talk about Grayson Rigdon, or we talk about a Boogie Wilson and some of these other guys, a Chris Johnson Jr., is because these guys are now here for that. Derek Eusebio, Zechariah Sample, Kyson Brown. These guys didn't get a ton of run last year. Even Kyson didn't get a ton of run last year, right? He was technically RB3, technically behind the Carlos Brooks, okay? And he's back. He's familiar with this system, as are a ton of these returners, and they know the culture, right? And they have the talent. I wouldn't sit here and tell you this if I didn't believe it. I covered Todd Graham's team. I covered Herm Edwards' teams. They didn't have, there wasn't this sense of like present, but also future at the same time, if that makes sense, right? Like I can sit here, you guys can sit there, go to Camp Tontozona, watch those practices, come back, listen to me yap about Arizona State for all fall camp, because that's just what we're going to do. This team's going to be successful now, and they're going to be successful in the long term because they have finally fit Kenny's vision of we want guys that want to be at Arizona State. Jordyn Tyson could have gotten 7 figures to go play in the SEC, to go play in the Big Ten. Sam Leavitt could have gotten the same going anywhere else, but they chose to be here, right? Kanye Udo transferred into Arizona State, 1,000-yard rusher and 10 touchdowns at Army. Kyson Brown stood 10 toes in Tempe, said, I'm not going anywhere, right? That speaks volumes about these guys and what they want to build here. It's very easy in college football to just pick up the first call. Here's $600,000. You want to come play for Ohio State? You want to come play for Texas? right? You want to go play for Texas A&M? Because those calls were there. I know those calls were there, right? I'm not going to tell you which player specifically, but there were players that had phone calls and offers to go play at Texas A&M and to go play at Texas. They said, "Nah, we're good. You didn't want me then. I don't want you now." That was the conversation. They chose to be at Arizona State. That is the brand right now of your Arizona State Sun Devils. That is because Kenny Dillingham. That is because Marcus Arroyo. That is because Brian Ward. And that is because of what this program can be. Short Bus saying, yes, I will vouch for it. It's there, man. It's 100% there. And I know it's just the first day of fall camp is in the books. And I'm telling you, drink the Kool-Aid because damn, it is good. And damn, it's going to continue to be good in Tempe. I promise. Guys, that is going to do it for today's episode of the PHNX Sun Devils Show. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Drop a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Sharon, not going to pinch you. Maybe when we actually get to game day, then we can go from there. If you guys enjoyed today's content, a couple side notes. Make sure you go to gophnx.com today. You click the little diehard tab and you sign up to become a PHNX diehard. Ayrton, we're still running the promotion, are we not? $36 right now. $36 to become a PHNX diehard comes out to $3 a month. Are you kidding me? That's a cup of coffee. That's literally less than a cup of coffee, depending on where you guys go. You're getting exclusive access to not only the Cardinals training camp stuff going on, the ASU stuff, Diamondbacks, anything as it relates to the Phoenix Suns, all of the stuff we have here at PHNX just amplifies when you become a PHNX diehard. Not to mention you're getting discounts on events and merch and all that fun stuff. Short Bus is a diehard. Sharon is a PHNX diehard, and a bunch of other folks in here are PHNX diehards as well. Some videos and stuff that you guys didn't get during the show, they all got in the diehard Discord as it was happening because they're PHNX diehards. Again, would highly, highly recommend you do that. Go phnx.com, click the diehard tab, and go from there. Also, like I said, today was just the first day of fall camp. They're back at it tomorrow. They're back at it Friday. I'll be there. Make sure you follow PHNX Sun Devils on social for all those videos, all the photos, all the hype. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Anthony_Totri. For the two folks that are currently somewhere, you can follow Eric Ruby, also known as Jose Perez, at Eric Ruby. That is Eric with a K. And you can follow the Deli Man at Shane Deef on social. We will see you guys on Thursday. Same time, same place, right here at 1 p.m. And for all of you that followed the show last year, Sharon, Short Bus, Will, all of y'all, we got a special surprise for you on tomorrow's show, a special guest. So you're going to make sure you want to be here for that. But that is going to do it for today's show. Hit the like button, the subscribe button, and a 5-star review on your way out. But in the meantime, go Devils. And peace.
We all silly like the mayor.